Hi, this is Bruce Kirsch. Welcome to Valuate. In this video, I'm going to show you how to load cash flows in the detail load method. And we're going to start first with an existing quick load file. So I'm going to sign in here. And this file is pre-existing. It's for the fictitious property Northern Place. And so if I go to the cash flows screen by clicking on the cash flows button up here, I will see that this checkbox is currently checked, and this says select to use inputs below. And these were the inputs that were made in the file creation in the quick load method. But let's say that I want to do a little bit more detailed cash flow projection, and I want to bring in cash flows that either I already have existing in Excel or that I want to quickly create in Excel. And so the way I can do that is by toggling over to this side of the screen where I use the detail load method. And the first thing I'm going to do is click this button here so that I can download an Excel file that contains instructions as well as generic template worksheets. Okay, and so I'm going to click the button and I will get the Excel file downloaded here, and I will launch that by clicking on it, and Excel will boot up and the file will open. And the first thing that I want to do is make sure that I'm not in protected view. So if I get a warning message at the top here, I want to click the button that says enable editing. And so now what I have here is on this leftmost tab, you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs in this file. In this leftmost tab I have instructions, which you can always refer to if you don't want to rewatch this video, for getting your detailed cash flows into the system. So each of these tabs here is labeled differently. The first is copy paste if you have year one only. The second, copy paste if you have annuals, and the third, copy paste if you have monthlies. On all of these tabs, however, there will be a blue shaded section which goes all the way out to the right, and I'll show you that same section on this tab and the same section on this tab. So all of these worksheets, no matter which one you're using, you will be copying in entirety, that entire blue section, onto your clipboard such that you can paste it into Valuate. Well, let's say that we have the year one values in mind and we want to create that projection such that we can copy it and paste it and use it in Valuate instead of the original projection that we had created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make inputs as needed in the cells that are white that have the blue font in them. And we have some comments here telling you which lines of these are mandatory and which are optional. I'm going to just hide these by clicking on the Review tab and clicking on Show All Comments such that they are all hidden. Okay, and so let's say I have a effective gross revenue, which is row 6 here, in year one. Okay, each column here represents 1 year. So let's say I'm going to make my year one effective gross revenue $975,000, and my year one operating expenses $622,000, and I'm going to grow that at 3%. And let's say that in year 3, I lease up an additional 2,500 square feet at a rent of $35. And in order to get that tenant, I have to pay $15 a foot in TIs and another $4 a foot in leasing commissions. Okay, and so those are our leasing and capital costs, and you see those showing up here in yellow. And so as I was entering in these numbers, you'll see that all of these blue values have auto-populated for us. So now that I'm done with my projection, I simply copy this entire blue area first by selecting it all, and then Control C or Command C on Mac to copy. And now I'll go back to Valuate to the cash flow screen, click inside this box and do Control V to paste. And then I'm going to select Process Cash Flow. But before I do that, I want you to just take note that currently, because this is checked, the values that are input here are those that are being applied in the analysis. So year one EGR of $1 million, straight lined is $83,333 per month. And year one OPEX of $600,000, straight lined is $50,000 a month. We'll see these numbers change once we do two things. First, process the cash flow, and then uncheck that box. So let's do this now. Okay, so now the cash flow is processed, and next I'm going to uncheck this box. And we now see we have different numbers. So we're no longer at 83,333 and 50,000 even. Rather, these are the numbers that came from the values that I pasted in here. If I want to revert to the original quick load based values, I can simply click the checkbox again and it will return those original numbers. And in that way I can toggle back and forth between the two. Okay, what about in the situation where I already have an Excel projection and I'm not creating it from scratch like I just showed you? So let's go ahead and let's pull up an existing Excel spreadsheet. And so here's an annual projection here. And this is what I want to get into Valuate. So how do I do that? So the way we need to do that is we need to essentially push this data for effective gross revenue, for total operating expenses, and total leasing and capital costs. We need to get that into our proper format in this generic template. And so our projection is annuals. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to go into the year one effective gross revenue cell and type an equal sign, and then I'll point to the year one effective gross revenue in my existing file, and I'm going to hit the enter key. Okay, and we'll see that I have that value now showing, and it's also been straight lined within the blue area below. Okay, and so what I want to do here though is I want to make sure that I don't have these cells anchored such that when I copy and paste this cell across, it will bring in the appropriate values for each of those years. Okay, and so you see the income growing in that way. And the way that I made sure that it wasn't anchored was I removed the dollar signs that were in front of the letter P and the number 2. Those are the grid coordinates from the other cell in the other spreadsheet. Okay, and so I'll show you again. I had dollar signs here, and I can simply click in the formula bar up at the top here and backspace. Okay. And then for the other line, I'm again going to point to total operating expenses and point to that and then hit enter. Okay, and this needs to be shown as a positive value. So because in my spreadsheet it was negative, I want to put a negative sign here such that it shows as positive. And again, before I copy this, I'm going to go ahead and delete out these dollar signs, and then I'll copy it and I will paste this across. And then I'll do the same finally for the leasing and capital costs. Again, I'm going to make sure that I remove these dollar signs, hit enter, and then copy and paste. Okay, and so again, these need to be positive, so I'm going to make sure that they're showing as negative here. I see the lines below the 0, so I want to put a negative sign here and copy and paste. Okay, so now I have this data from my original spreadsheet, the pre-existing spreadsheet. I have it in this generic format, and now I'm going to copy and paste again the blue area, which is monthly, and I'm going to go back to Valuate, paste it, and click Process Cash Flow. And I will see now that my values have changed once again because now I have overwritten the prior pasted set of values. And again, if I want to go back to the original quick load values, I can always just click this box. And here we are, we see them. Again, they're in black. Any pasted values will be shown in blue.